All right. Hey guys, episode 85. I'm Adam, and then I've got Justin and Juan here with me. This is kind of starting off the run of guest episodes that we're planning to do for February leading up to the regular season. We're going to try to churn out like two a week, but I think it's only right to start with Juan, who we've recorded with in the past. But the footage never made it to you guys, and it was like a great
Yeah.
conversation. But I think the funniest part for me was I was looking at like the notes that we had for this show and the notes that we had for the past show, and it's like so different how much the club has changed since then.
Definitely, yeah, no, not losing that footage from the first conversation was so heartbreaking. Just because of how good it was, such a good conversation, and just having to share that news with Juan that we lost the footage was so devastating. And so I'm happy to have him back.
Hopefully this time, things work out correctly.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
double and
funny.
triple
We
checking
so
that this thing's recording
Yeah.
every second.
um
It's fine.
yeah, like the main point of the show notes last time we talked was it was like right before Tati had left. So we were thinking about like nines that are coming in, and as much as the club is different now, it's funny how things kind of stay the same because here we are still kind of wondering like who our nine is going to be,
The
thinking about
same
like
question.
yeah, thinking about like post Maxi plans. Now we're actually post Maxi and we haven't solved the issue. It's just like it's funny how things like change, but they also kind of stay the same.
Well, it's funny to think that we would have a plan to replace Maxi. Like thinking now in the actual mature brain that he's gone, to think that there would be a plan or that you could plan for something like that is insane. And so it's kind of funny to think that we were even considering that back then.
The thing is for me is that we had the replacement and we let him go. He was there already to me.
Santi.
But Santi was the replacement. Santi was, not to like replicate what he did as a player in the club, but as in playing style and as in vision, as a creative vision within the field, he was that player to create. So, having him like leave the way he did, mostly like everyone did this off season, is just being kind of heartbreaking. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say now it's so much more than just replacing Maxi, right? It's like replacing Maxi, Collins, Tinnerholm, Bear took off too, Sean took off, Acevedo took off. We're losing not only starting players, but we're losing depth players too. And at the moment, we haven't seen much actually come back in. We've got a Lenich that's coming in at I guess like right back, and then we have Cufre, who was just announced yesterday officially. Although we all kind of knew about it for a little while at left back. So the defense, which I think has worried everybody the least in terms of departure, is the part that we actually strengthened. And our attack is still kind of a big
yeah,
question mark.
right.
I mean, I trust in the guys that we have, but yeah, it's tough when you lose, in my opinion, the best number 10 in the league, the best center back, arguably top three in the league. Sean, when he's on, top three in the league. Tennerholm, I believed, was number one right back in the league for a couple of years, outside of the dude from Montreal. He kind of took over last year as
Yeah.
the number one, but it's tough to lose your number ones, but like league number one to threes, all in one window. I mean, who do you think, Juan? Who do you think is the biggest loss from the offseason?
The off season. Well, let me start with like Maxi. You know, I don't think he's gonna be the biggest one, just because even after the championship season, like many felt like that was gonna be it. That was like a perfect way for him to like leave the club. He was there from like first days, and then for him to win the championship was like, that's it. That's what he wanted. He wanted to win something with the club, and he actually did. With the Campeones Cup with this season, not this past season, but the MLS Cup was like the perfect way to bow out, per se. So Maxi, like, we kind of saw it coming even before. So the fact that he just announced that he was leaving probably took everyone by surprise due to how it was announced, but I saw it coming. But for me, like going back to the question, I think the biggest loss has been Callens. because the leadership that he posts, and the experience, yeah, he might not have been the best with English, but you saw it in the field that he was commanding, very he understood it, he communicated with everyone. So the fact that and he scored goals this past season. It's not that he wasn't scoring or anything. If he was a player that was only on defense, we would have probably what, he defended only. He never really contributed to anything else. But this past season, he went and scored a lot of goals for a defensive player. Losing that type of type of asset within the field, it's just gonna be tough to replace. And as you guys spoke about it, Cufre and Jelenic, I think is his name. We brought in 2 players to actually cover for that one loss, in my opinion. So, because given that I kind of, before the episode, I went into YouTube and trying to see some highlights of both players. Both players have the same characteristic. They go up the wings. They can play Cufre has a really good long shots, so he could shoot from outside the box. He goes into attack, so he kind of fits into what Callens did this last season. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I go back to sorry, I go back to that statement you made when you were talking about how important Collins was, and I believe it was a quote from our manager. I don't know if it was Cushing or Ronnie, yeah, at the time. But he was saying how he found a system to get Collins to play center back, left back, in the midfield, and striker. How do you lose a player that can do all of that for you in a system and continue to survive?
So is that your answer too, Justin?
Yeah,
Collins?
Without a doubt.
Okay, well then we're across the board with Collins here. That's mine too. Obviously, I think well documented, my favorite player on the team for quite a few years. So, heartbreaking to lose him on the field, and as I think a personality in the locker room, like you said, Juan. But I was going to say the same thing. When you have a player that is at center back and he's able to play out of the back so well and join the attack, there's only a handful of center backs in the world that are scoring 5-6 goals a season for their teams. And shockingly, we had one of those handful in the world on our team in the MLS, which is crazy. And especially with his age, it's insane. To make a European transfer at his age is crazy. And definitely wishing the best for him. But I think you're right, Juan, that we have we're trying to fill his hole with multiple different players, which is just insane to think about.
Yeah, and even yesterday during the press conference, I think it was 2 days ago, I forgot about it. Even Justin Hag was if they want me to play center back, I can play center back. So it might be one of the other options. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, and kind of transitioning in the terms of the attacking line. Trust we have the right players, but for me, I think that Andrade should be the main striker. They should keep Perez Magno on the wings. I think that kind of let's say we could fight off the season. Say I'm not saying we're gonna be terrible, but it's a transitional season, and I think if anything, this is gonna be where things are gonna be tough, but we should stick behind the team.
Yeah, no, I think if anything, there's 2 players you can rely on in the attack, 2 that you can rely on in the midfield, and everyone else has kind of just got to prove it again. GP, what he's going to bring. Tales, what he's going to bring. Thiago, him and Mati, they have to prove it. So those are the question marks, I think, in attack. But the midfield with Keaton and Alfredo, they're gonna do their thing. So that's not a position that I'm necessarily worried about. Do you think, in the case that Sands gets pulled back, do you think that helps or disrupts kind of the system that Cushing looks to have going forward?
I think it would help, honestly. I mean, I've been kind of surprised based on what we've heard in the press conferences from Cushing and Keaton, that Keaton is not trying to fill the 10 role. To me, that was the most natural progression with Maxi taking off, looking at our roster, who we have in place to potentially fill a 10 role, right? We have like Maximo, who's 14 years old, and then we have Keaton. And I'm not sure who else fits in that role. I guess maybe Matty, but in the first presser, Cushing said that Matty is predominantly going to be playing down the wing. So it doesn't look like there's plans to implement them there. So we're stuck with, the 14-year-old and Keaton. So to me, it just makes sense that Keaton would be the guy. And then Keaton ends up talking in the presser, and he said, yeah, predominantly I'm playing in the 6 and the 8. That's what I want to do, but I'm not opposed to doing other things for the team. But it just seems like that's where they're kind of locked. So, I mean, I almost think we'll have a system where we're not going to play with a 10 like we have in the past. Probably more of like a false 9. I know we've talked a little bit about that, Justin, and probably also from what we've heard even from Tales is it looks like the plan is for him to be up there at the 9. And it'll just be interesting to see how it goes, because I think his production on the left wing is what made a lot of things work for our team last season. So taking him off that wing, like you said, we really need a Matty or a Thiago to step up to it. Otherwise, we could be in deep trouble with production.
Definitely. Juan, how do you feel about potential Sands return?
Oh, the Sands return. I mean, given how they've been like putting out the news as to how he fell out of favor, I think it's gonna be good, because I mean that gives us a chance to probably push some players forward. Maybe not use, who knows, maybe they use Alfredo as part of the defensive line, and we could push him up to the midfield as a defensive midfield. That way, Keaton has a more of a 10 role, so I mean that would be great. I mean, I don't see it like I see a lot of people on Twitter or kind of split about it, saying like sometimes it's a failure that he didn't really shine as many would have expected. But when you fall out of favor, I think sometimes it's up to the managers as well. And I think maybe it's the weather, maybe not even the language, but sometimes people want managers want different things from you, and maybe that was the case, and maybe he didn't trust the player. Sometimes that happens, but I think if he's able to come back, hopefully, because we need players. If he's able to come back, it's gonna be great, because the fans here love him, and I think we need. I think we want all the help we need, or how does that saying go?
We need all the help we can get, for sure.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. All the help we can get.
Yeah. No, and well, I don't know if you're talking about Sands. I think anyone who would say that it was a failure is crazy. He played well for a long time. I remember that season, Rangers. They signed a lot of players. They had a lot of incoming loans and players that they were testing out, because they were changing a lot of things there. And then they happened to do the same thing again this year, where there's a lot of in and out, and they're kind of trying to find their identity again. So to say that it's a failure, I think it was probably Sand's best option at the time, and he just went for it. And it didn't work out for either party. So I think I'm just hoping if he does come back, it's not going to be a thing where he's kind of just holding out and waiting for another loan. I think that would be a failure on our end if we didn't at least get a couple of games out of him.
Yeah, I mean the Sands situation is kind of difficult, because I feel for him, because to him, he probably, I would think if I was Sands, if I come back to NYCFC, that it does sort of feel like a failure on my part. But that would just be him being hard on himself. But when you really look at the facts of the situation, he's gone through a manager now. I think Brockhurst was the first one. He got fired, and now they brought in Michael Beale, who's been very vocal about not being sure where Sands fit into the team, and that's kind of been the story of Sands' entire time at the Rangers. Obviously, we all know from our championship season, Sands belongs in a CDM role. But unfortunately, the Rangers have vets from the Scottish League that have that on lock. So he was kind of forced to fill in a center back role most of the minutes that he played at the Rangers. And no knock to him, but there were some tough games over there as center back for the Rangers. He had kind of a rough stretch there, and I think he lost some of the fans. But what are you going to do? What can he do when he's not being played in his position? And sort of doesn't really fit into the team. So I don't know. I don't think he should be too hard on himself. If he hears this, Sans, we still support you. We would welcome you back here. But I then look forward to the future. Like, I wonder what he thinks about the projection of his career. Like, if he's going to try to go back to Europe, and then how his current experience would affect a team that might want to buy him. Because I also think other clubs that may want to buy him in the future would look at it as a failure as well, because they won't really know the intricacies of like what had happened there.
That's the thing, though. Like, I would say, like, failure is in sense of an opinion, but like when you know that the manager itself is like completely saying that, you know what, I'm not gonna pick you because I don't know where you fit, not because of how you play, just because like where are you gonna fit in my system? Like, that alone should be like, oh, it's not his fault. The manager just like didn't know where to put you, and he like kept you on the bench. So like, I wouldn't say for him like to be a failure. He's not. Like, as of right now, it's all you have to blame, like, not blame, but like you have to look at the manager and say, oh, he didn't play him not because he wasn't good, but like he didn't know where to put him.
Yeah. No. Just a little background. I just went through their transfers for last season and this season. They're almost at they're at 30 plus transfers in, with loans, transfer, like actual transfer fees, and then they brought in Ben Davies on loan from Liverpool, and it's an English manager. What are you gonna do? You're fighting an uphill battle there. It's not gonna happen. So nothing hard on Sans. Come back, show that you can do it again with us, and go earn that big ticket somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, so for you guys, what is, knowing everybody that took off, what is like our biggest need in this team? Like, in terms of like positionally, what do we need more than anything else if we were to go out and get one more guy?
Need a striker.
Yeah.
Need a striker.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like we've been looking for one too. I mean, I know Fabrizio was talking a little bit about what was his name? I want to say it was some Polish guy, like Widerski or something like that. Who I guess kind of gave some coach. I think they got some Belgian guy, Van Zier. But yeah, I know it sucks to see them swooping up a number 9 when we really need one. But I guess the good thing is it looks like we're doing our searching and we're trying to find somebody. And Cushing, obviously gives us the boilerplate. We're not going to rush to sign somebody, which is good to hear. But, there also, I think, is an urgency when we've been looking for a number 9 for like a year now. And it's like, well, how long are we not going to rush? Because the product on the field starts to suffer the longer that you don't have somebody in that place. So, yeah, no, I would agree with you. I think 9 is the spot where once we address that, I think we can make do with everybody else that we have, like, to be competitive.
Yeah. Who'd you guys bring? I mean, off the top of your head, like, it doesn't even have to be like a free agent.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, we could swoop in Pogba while we're at it too.
Yeah.
Right. No, Pogba. Please no, no Pogba. I'll pick Ronaldo over Pogba, to be honest.
In a real world, what is it, that Atlanta striker from a few seasons ago? What was his name?
Joseph.
Yeah, he's got to be somewhere.
I think he went to Miami.
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure he went to Miami, and then you have isn't Ola Kamara free agent too? I mean, I feel like one of these proven like MLS vets, not necessarily like a European vet, because I think that's really old MLS to kind of bring these guys in, and I'm not sure on what their motivation is all the time. But I think like an old MLS vet striker could be good for us, but we've seen a lot of them get swooped up already. So I don't know. I also don't think that is necessarily the policy that NYCFC kind of typically likes to employ. It seems like we like to look outwards to the world and not do a lot of interleague stuff. But then, we signed free. So I don't know. A lot of different things are happening lately.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to speak on that, but he's He's got a lot of proving to do that he's not got that Philly blood in him anymore.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, he seemed to like turn full heel on him so far. He was like tweeting about actually wanting to win trophies now and stuff like that. And it's funny because you see Freese leave Philly and send some shots their way, and then you see Sean leave us and send some shots our way, which I think has
Did
been.
you guys see that? Oh my,
Yeah, I don't think
my
it's been
God.
heartbreaking. Let me not go full crazy on Sean because I feel like we've been pretty realistic here with him over the course of all of our episodes and stuff. And like Justin alluded to earlier, when he is at his best, he is a top 1 or 2 keeper in the league. It's him and Andre Blake, and nobody else is on their level. So it does hurt to see him go, but when he starts sending the shots, it's just like I can't imagine about the stadium, like right to the stadium thing, like, and then
Right
saying
where
that
it
he's happy to be somewhere where people actually want him, which I guess he would be talking probably about like David Lee and them not wanting to pay him, but like fans are going to take it as that we didn't like support you or like you, dude, and we did.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even before he started like saying this stuff, like a lot of the NYCFC fan base was like, how do you sign with Toronto? Like, kind of like putting him into like as a traitor before he said all these things. So him saying things about the stadium and like happy with the change, and adding it to how the fan base felt. It's just not gonna help when he comes back.
Oh no. I'm hoping when he does come back, I think the first game we're looking towards for that is early April. We're going to play them. But I do think it is in Toronto, which sucks because he should be forced to come and face the jury of Yankee Stadium. And he will later in the season. But I mean, now he's gotten me to a point where I'm hoping we're winning like 7-0, right? We're setting like scoring records against it. And I think, depending on how the guys feel that day, we may have the ability to do it, but it'll be ugly if we do.
My thing is, he had one conversation with Drake, and now he has an attitude. All of a sudden, in one conversation, maybe 30 seconds with Drake, and he turns to heel.
He's in his feelings. And then Freese.
How do you guys feel about just like before, like we jump into another topic? How do you guys feel about Barraza being like in the shot in the first few games?
I think he's the guy.
Yeah.
I think Matt was signed just so that Barraza didn't get comfortable. But we were both saying it last season. We looked more comfortable playing out of the back with Barraza. He's built for that kind of situation, where Sean had to kind of be forced to learn that way. At first, I don't know if you guys remember when Sean first signed with us, it was rough playing out of the back. It was like pulling teeth for him to be able to do that. And Barraza is just naturally built for that. His passing ability and everything like that is just so much better than Sean's. So like, I think in that regard, it's gonna be a big upgrade. But in shot stopping, it's gonna be a little rough at first. I think he has a little bit to grow there. But he's got the excuse of having a not so good defense in front of him. So he's kind of lucky in that sense.
No, I trust him.
So that's the step right there.
I trust him.
So what do you think about captaincy, Juan? I mean, I guess everybody is assuming that it has to be Chanel, and it probably will be. But what we talked about on our last episode is we're not sure, especially over the course of the entire season, that Chanel is going to be playing 90 minutes. I mean, at the end of the playoffs last year, I know that there were like small knocks involved in it, but that's going to happen this year. He's not. I don't think he'll go full 90 every game for the whole season. And please prove me wrong, Chanel. But
for sure.
What do we do in the case of that? I mean, at that point, you need your captain on the field.
I mean, I almost got roasted. I mean, you guys saw my Twitter a couple of days ago.
Was that about the hack question?
The hack question, and that was just out of like, what's his name? Scott Churchton beat me to my like question about the leadership and stuff like that. So I ran out of like my top 2 questions were like taken already. So I'm like, hey, how do you feel about being a captain? And they almost roasted me He almost roasted me online because like they kind of understood that I wanted him to be the captain. I'm like, dude, no.
Yeah, just a
Like,
question.
yeah, it's just a question. But honestly, wild. You're gonna get roasted for this too. But given that the captain should be on the field for most of the games, I was gonna say Barraza, but even Barraza being the main goalie, it's like for debate right now. But I think Thales Magno should be the captain.
Oh wow. Yeah, I haven't. I mean, I haven't heard
Yeah,
that one yet.
yeah, Thales Magno because he's gonna be playing 90 minutes most of the games.
I think
So
Tallis has a little bit to grow in terms of maturity to get there. I think he has a tendency to kind of get in his own head a little bit and if have it affect his performances. And so I feel like out of a captain, you need somebody that can not only keep themselves in check but other people too. So I think Tallis has a little, like probably 6 months to go. If
yeah,
he could show that he could keep that mindset up, then yeah, without a doubt.
yeah. I mean, I'm talking in the sense of like a player being on the field constantly. I would go with
Yeah.
like Alex Magno. But if let's say we trust this season, we trust Barassa this season. I mean, he does kind of have experience being a captain with NYCFC too.
Yeah.
Kind of knows most of the players in this squad now. Like even like the young players, they're coming in from like the reserve team, so he knows most of them. So let's say we trust him to be
Yeah.
at goal this season, he could be the captain.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that's a solid shout, actually. I mean, I haven't thought of
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
And we look at the players that are actually going to play every minute of the season, and I mean, how many of those do we have? We have Talles, we have Keaton and Alfredo, and
GP.
then we have GP, yeah, Chanot and Barraza. If he is the guy, as we all think he is, that is really it. I think every other position is up for grabs, right? We're going to have the positional battle of Alenich and Tavon, and then Tavon, I think, or at least hopefully also having a battle with center backs because I think he has what it takes to be one. And if we take him out of the attack, it probably helps our team. And then our left back position, I mean, hopefully Cufre ends up being a guy, but if he's not, it's going to be like a rotating door of Cufre, Malday, and Kevin O'Toole. So we're down to like 5 or 6 players
I
that
don't
will
think
play
O'Toole's going
close
to
to
play
every
left back a
minute.
single second this year. Not controversial, but
Damn,
I don't think he's going to
I know
play
you
one
were
second
hating
back
Kevin
there.
O'Toole.
No, no, not hating on him. I think he's going to graduate towards playing his actual position. And
Mm,
just because of how unproven Thiago is, and Mati, he's not. You have no idea what he can do
also
either.
unproven, yeah.
So I think there's going to be games where O'Toole starts left wing for sure, or in a striker position, because
That would be
we
insane.
drafted him as a forward, and we kind of had to use him as a left back.
Yeah. What if he becomes the number 9?
Then Coach Joe
What if?
will be.
Then we have maybe
Oh,
the
the coach just gonna come after us.
second best draft pick ever for the club.
Well,
First being Jack
it's
Harrison.
fun. It's funny. Just a little plug. We are going to be talking to Coach Joe coming up like in a week or two. So that should be a very fun episode because I think a lot of times on this show, Justin and I kind of just are in like a what do they call it? Like a vacuum. Like we agree with most
Yeah,
points
yeah.
that we talk to each other. Like,
And
so I think it'll be
we
fun to have like a little bit of disagreement.
yeah, we've never really had a guest on that we don't agree with. I mean, minor things here and there, but um, I think Coach Joe we're gonna disagree with a lot, and that's not a bad thing. I just think it is what it is,
It's
though.
gonna make it fun. It's gonna make it fun. It's gonna make it
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that'd be interesting. I haven't thought of Kevin O'Toole actually being plugged in as a winger, and then I guess he would be in the conversation of Matty, Thiago, and Kevin O'Toole having to prove themselves if they're
yeah,
going to be up there on the wings. Um, and I wouldn't be shocked based on what we've seen from Matty, although I'm the biggest Matty cheerleader. We haven't seen much from him. Thiago has been extremely inconsistent. That's the worst part of his game. Um, so I think it's up for grabs. I mean, if Kevin's on it, then
because
to
the confirmation to me that he was at least going to get a couple of shouts up there was the new signing of the left back. Um,
him.
because if Cushing was comfortable playing him in that position for a full season without at least trying to get somebody else, he would have. And if we were really in
Unless
that,
he's I was going to say, unless he just relegated to NYCFC 2, which is where he has started his career with us, and he kind of really only came up for the end of last season in the playoffs. I'm not sure, but we know Cushing doesn't rate Malde, so you have to assume Kevin O'Toole then has to be around as the second string left back if that is what Cushing feels.
Yeah, we'll see. I just think using him as a forward in a team where you're not really that sure of the defense, and he's proven as somebody that's going to get back, it's kind of a no-brainer to me to at least give him a shout if Thiago's not playing well.
So then, I mean, looking more at the preseason, what we've seen so far from the team, I think we've seen a lot of NYCFC 2 kids trying to. Footage? No, just tweets from the club, basically.
Right.
Pictures.
We get the feed. Only it's a one-of-one feed. It goes right to us, and we choose not to.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
You guys have the plug for the off-season night.
Yeah, that's why we have all the
knowledge. But I mean, from what we've seen, all we have seen is 3 goals. Jonathan Jimenez, NYCFC 2 player, Clevis Haxari, NYCFC 2 player, and then Talles has a goal as well. Aside from that, I think we've conceded like 3 or 4 as well. But it's weird to see the NYCFC 2 kids getting so much play, and I don't know if that's just because GP is absent. And they want to see who might step up this season. But I wonder if we're going to see a lot more mixing between the NYCFC 2 and NYCFC rosters this year, kind of as it goes. What do you think?
I mean, we have options in NYCFC 2. I mean, it's proven with O'Toole. I mean, we thought that he was going to be like within NYCFC 2 for the first season, and he was brought up for a few games this last season, and he did pretty well. So we have let's say a good striker. What's the name of I forgot his name. He just got called up for the national team for his country. John Dennis, right? Yes. So he scored 18 goals in 17 games or something like that. What if he's the answer we were looking for? Wild guesses here, So if we were to have, building up a team, stuff the basis that we have already, it'd be one or 2 players that we can actually move up.
Yeah, no, I think we'd be crazy not to. If we have a full roster of players playing every single week, and we're not making the transfers in that the fans want, why would you not pull from that? That's got to be the plan.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, or go ahead.
Yeah. Just I want to mention this. This last option. Where is he? Oh my god, I forgot his name. Where is he? 1 second. I don't find.
Is he from NYCFC 2 as well?
Yeah. This is Nicolas Benalcázar. He plays as a center back.
Yep.
He's been regarded as the top talent the whole last season with NYCFC 2. He's everyone's like he's ready. Even his coach, and it's been only 1 season of NYCFC 2, and they were everyone's he's ready. Barraza knows him, so
he's a Sans type player, one that can play in the midfield and play center back.
He's more of a defensive player though. He was so what if they choose him to be one of the options at the defense? So
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of players on NYCFC 2 that I'd love to see come forward and get some minutes. I mean, try to develop the youth. I'm the guy on FIFA career mode that always plays youth. I hate playing first team players, so I'd be all for it.
So we're gonna be like Ajax, NYCFC version.
Exactly.
Hopefully, we're like Ajax in terms of the table as well in our league, because then we'll all be very happy. But I mean, let's talk a little bit about predictions for where we're gonna finish. We've been blessed over the last couple years with the performance. Whether or not it's felt like it, there's been a lot of tough times watching for sure. But at the end of the season, we are consistently, well, we've always been in the playoffs, but we're consistently, I would say probably not less than fifth place. Is that something? Do you see us finishing like fourth or fifth this year?
Listen, I think that, if, we manage, like, because, the first games of the season, the first half of the season per se, it's always like a tough one. Sometimes, like, even if the team is like, hitting it in every single line, teams are consistent, but then by the second half and like near the playoffs, everyone just goes through slump. And like, you can't really predict as to, what we're going to be like two or top three. Like, we came back as champions and we're like struggling and it's like almost the second part of the season and like, it was rough. So I would say given all the changes that we're going through this season, if we don't get to like find that chemistry, like at least in the defensive line, I see us like scratching playoffs. I think the defense is gonna be our like our like most
It's gonna hold
show
us
more
back the
progress.
most.
Yeah, we got to put in more work into that rather than the striker.
Yeah. What do you think, Justin?
I think that we're top four? No, definitely not. I think there's other teams that are, doing maybe what we would have done in the last couple of years, which is really try to strengthen up. But I can see us definitely being within playoff contention, for sure. I think maybe 8th or 9th would be my best guess.
So scratching it as well.
Yeah.
I was gonna say ninth could be no playoffs.
Yeah. Right.
That is
so we're right on the. I think we're right on the border of in and out. If then that's it. That's I think like things going well.
What's wrong? Like we're here to be proven wrong. Like what if we end up being top three? It's like you never know. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. Okay. I mean, I feel, and I don't know what makes me feel this way, but I feel like 5th place is I think the spot that will finish. And it's crazy. I was looking it up yesterday, the odds of, who's to win the MLS Cup this year. And somehow they have us at 3rd most likely to like win the whole thing, which is insane. And usually when, we're betting man, at least some of the times when it comes to football. But the question is always like, what does Vegas know that we don't? But I think in this case, it's just Vegas has no idea what they're talking about in general. Like when it comes to the MLS, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, they're just assuming that a good team is going to be good the next year, discounting the fact that they lost 7 of their best 11.
7 out of the 11. Can you imagine that? Like even like oh god, like there were some Twitter like threads that like show like what players we've missed the last 2 seasons. So like we practically lost the whole team.
Yep.
Yeah. I think from our we talked about it a little bit in the last episode. I think from our championship team, we literally only have Chanot and Alfredo. I think that were starters. And then Tavon made an appearance, and Tales made an appearance as well. But as far as starters go, I mean, we have nobody left. We don't even have our manager. It's like insane the amount of turnover, and I don't know if that's just a product of the MLS. It probably is. That's why it's so hard to repeat in the MLS. But it's so crazy to think about. It's tough to keep fans when the players are the guys that really drive like emotion, and like I said, Collins being my favorite player. Like I would tune in games to watch him and watch everybody else. So it'll be tough. It'll be a tough year, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the first year in a long time that we don't feel like we're just building onto the team. For the past like 6 years or something, it always just feels like we're adding a new piece that's going to make the team better and better and better. And then this year it just seems like the wheels fell off and everyone's gone and we don't know what the team's going to look like.
I was actually expecting this switch to happen after the championship. I was like, everyone had a good season. They had great playoffs, and like they're gonna come for Tati. Maxi's gonna be like, I'm out. Like I've done everything. Santi's gonna be like, like they're gonna come for him from Europe. Like I expected this like amount of like exits after the championship because everyone was on a high.
Yeah.
And for like them to leave the way they left, I was like, okay, fine.
I think maybe
it's
they
like
had the idea to go after the Champions League, and then when that didn't happen, they all kind of made the decision like we're gonna be gone.
I think that should be priority. I don't even know if it's in the like viewfinder, right, for the team. Like, but I think getting a berth to Champions League to me seems to be like the most important thing that an MLS team can do. And then obviously winning it. Like right now, I'm so salty seeing the Sounders out in Egypt playing Al Ahly in the FIFA Club World Cup because they won the CONCACAF Champions League. It's like so closely that could have been us. I remember that game so fondly watching it. Like we had like 20 shots. I remember Tales being literally like on the touch line of the goal and not putting a simple shot away. Like it should be us. And I think that the Champions League is really, I think the ultimate thing for an MLS team to kind of get.
I think in that game we just, or maybe in that season or last season, I think we failed at kind of like learning how to play with the pressure like outside of our home turf. I think if we played better like in that first leg, we would have sealed it at, Harrison.
Yeah. Well, I think Maxi was out too. I think Chanot was out that game as well. It's just, it's tough. But I was thinking, so we had an idea to run through like a quick little over under thing. So we're gonna throw out some like goal numbers and point numbers, and you just give us like an over under on where you think we're gonna be. So how many points the team's gonna have? So 49.5. What do you think?
49.
And that would probably keep us around like 4th to 6th place.
I think we're gonna end up with 38, 39.
What do you think, Justin?
Well, we get the benefit of being able to do this a few times. So as new information comes, we could just redo it.
We can change our answers.
So I'm gonna go over.
They're probably gonna quote me on this, so they're gonna come after me. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you said this 38, 39. Look, we finished with 49. There you go.
Yeah, week 36, we're posting the clip and we're saying
like,
Juan Carlos was wrong.
Yeah.
Well, if it's like Davi or something, I'm cool with that. I just would hate for it to be like Tales. If Tales was like, oh, you said it would be under and it's an over, whatever. Like that, then I would feel bad. If it's just like another one of us, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll go
over under 49.5. Over.
I'll go over.
I would say over as well. Clean sheets 6.5.
Hammer the over.
Over. Okay.
Hammer it.
Do you know how much we had last year?
No, I'll go with probably 5.
No, so last year we actually had 14, but
well,
like every season prior we had 7. So, and that's with Sean.
Oh,
and our defense.
I'll go the over still with this new information.
Okay.
Go with 12. Trust.
12? Okay. I would say over as well. All right, Tales goals 12.5. What was that? I couldn't see it. Under. Okay. I'm gonna
15.
15. Okay. I would say over as well. And then we can forward this clip to Tales's DMs right on Twitter.
I'll go.
And Justin could face 11.
I just want that white jacket that he always uses.
Yeah.
That thing's crazy.
GP goals 9.5. Over.
I'll take the over on that one.
Yeah, I'll take the over too. And then I think this is a tough question mark. Thiago Andrade goals 6.5. It's hard to say.
Say 7.
7, so over. Okay.
7 and a throat clearance.
No. Basically, because he's like, I feel like this off season is being like where he has had enough room to prepare. No injuries. Like, no injuries, and like full preseason, and like you have no excuse to have like Maxi or like the other players. You you are the player this season. You know, they're gonna trust him. So we'll see what happens.
I will go.
What are you saying, Justin?
So my theory on this is going to be, so last season he lit it up in preseason. He was scoring constantly, and then he didn't have a good season. This season he's not really been seen, right, at all. So I'll go with over. I'm going to go with he's going to have like 9 goals.
Okay. I'll be the one to ruin the party. I'm saying under on Thiago. I'm fully bought into Matty kind of taking the spot from him. I think that'd be great, but yeah, unfortunately under Thiago. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it there.
Well, so if we're making a line for Matty, then I think his
Matty's line's got to be low though.
His line has to be appearances. Is he gonna make over or under 10 appearances?
Oh yeah, for sure. Way over.
Way over. Okay.
Oh, I'll put the house on over on that one.
Over. He has to be like given minutes. Like, what's the point of re-signing him?
Thing is, he has to earn it.
Yep.
He has to earn it. I don't feel. We had this conversation last season, but I don't feel like he earned minutes last season and he didn't get them. He's got to earn it.
Didn't get them. I don't really think he didn't deserve, or like, I don't know. It was weird for me not to see him at least one game, at least a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Because I think we saw him, in one of the games. I think the first game that he played in, he looked pretty good. But yeah, I mean that's all the over/unders. So we'll keep tabs on these, and end of the season we can come back and let everybody know. We were wrong or Juan was wrong.
Yeah.
We'll do a review and we'll just clip everything that everyone got wrong and just put that up.
How are you guys feeling about the schedule change? Are you guys going to go to some games this season, or?
For sure, yeah. So I've for the last couple years I've had a horrible work schedule. So that's fixed now, and so 100%, without a doubt.
Great.
Yeah, I think the toughest part sometimes the Citi Field games are kind of tough to go to. It's like quite a bit farther than Yankee Stadium, but I think last season we made it out to, I want to say 7 games, 2 at Citi Field. I think the schedule change will just make it easier on everybody to get out there, especially for us, constantly Saturday at night. So yeah, excited to be at more and then, see you in person as well. You're one of the few people, a part of the community that I've gotten the chance to like meet in person. It's like you and like Michael Allen, Davey, and then some of the other press as well. So it's always cool to like see you guys.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's always like good to have that support, from the different outlets, the different people that cover NYCFC, whether it's to like criticize or like actually keep the backing of the team. It's always good.
Definitely. No, I like seeing everyone. I like going to the games and having friends to link up with.
I think it gives you a different view of the field too, that you don't really get a feeling for on TV. You can kind of see those players that aren't involved in the play, like what they're actually doing when they're not, in the confines of the camera. So it's pretty cool to do. And then the pressers are cool in person too. We've got to man up and start asking questions like you want, but that's definitely on the schedule this year to do that. I think it's a lot easier in person to do which is weird because you would think it'd be easier on camera. But I don't know. It's hard.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I think this is going to be the first season where everything, quote unquote, goes back to normal. Like, I think this is going to be, with the whole, Apple deal. I think everyone's going to be like more like high end and stuff. So everything is going to be hopefully smoother than last season as well.
A little more corporate.
Yeah, I hopefully. But like, yeah, I mean, hopefully, we get to ask some tough questions now. But like, yeah, hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think that about sums it up. Thank you, of course, for joining us here. We'd love to have you on in the future again, and we could talk a little bit about, how the season is going when we're in the mix of it.
I want to like,
yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
an
And then,
interesting break, you know.
yep,
It'll be weird.
absolutely.
Within the season, in the middle of the season, a tournament.
Yeah.
Official tournament.
The Leagues Cup, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I think pretty much sums it all up. Like I said, we're going to be doing a whole run of guest episodes leading up to the kickoff. I think we're trying to churn out like 2 a week, so we're really going to be in our bag with recording and editing and all that. Like I mentioned before, some big guests coming up like Coach Joe, Michael Allen. We're trying to get each of the Blue City Radio guys in here, and then some undetermined other ones as we try to fill the slots leading up to the stadium. So I think much like this conversation, it's going to be a lot of valuable conversations, and it's cool to talk to you guys face to face and not always over Twitter. It's fun to kind of share opinions and stuff. So thanks.
No problem, guys. As always, thank you for the support, and I'll see you guys next time in the future.
Yeah.
Cool. See you guys.
Peace.